Well, thank you very much, Jwan. So we're talking about curriculum today and teacher training. And curriculum is considered the heart of every learning institution. Curriculum is a broad scope because it's not only about schools, the learners, and the teachers. It's about the development of society in general. Curriculum development has a vital role in improving the people's way of life. To that end, I'm really excited to talk with the Honorable the Minister of Education and Instruction of South Sudan. A year ago, the creation of the first post-independence national curriculum was announced. How much progress has been achieved in the design of this curriculum materials?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank the government of Kenya for the warm welcome and hospitality. I want to also thank AfricanBrains for bringing together the African brains in this room. This is a great achievement, so I thank you very much. Where are we? We have done it. So we have the national curriculum as we speak. I have a copy on my iPad for those who like to see to believe, and this is what it is.
It's there. I can see it.
The curriculum framework. We have also the subject overviews on the same iPad. This is, it is a long document, but I want to give you the cover page such that you see the title page. This
Very
is
exciting.
the subject overviews. Now, why did we do it? It is important for you to know that the reform was not incidental. We needed a balanced curriculum that meets the needs and aspirations of the people of South Sudan. Traditionally, we had a curriculum which is predominantly knowledge-based, but we wanted a balanced curriculum that has knowledge, but more skills, attitudes, abilities, etc. Second, we needed a curriculum that is learner-centered. Predominantly in the Sudan, we had a curriculum which is teacher-centered. So it is the teacher that stands in front of the student and imparts knowledge. Third, we wanted a curriculum that can help us to meet the legal obligations stipulated in the Constitution, the educational goals which are outlined in the General Education Act, as well as the goals of the South Sudan Vision 2040. Finally, we wanted to respond to the labor markets of the world, not only the labor market of South Sudan. So we reviewed our national curriculum, and we reduced the aims of the curriculum to only 4. One, we wanted to produce good citizens of South Sudan, citizens that are patriotic and proud of their rich culture and heritage, active participants in society for the good of themselves and others, committed to unity, democracy, human rights, gender equity, peace and reconciliation, ready to take their place as good citizens in the world as well as in South Sudan, but also proud of South Sudan's role and position in the world. Second, we wanted to produce successful lifelong learners, people who know how to learn, but who are also passionate about learning. Third, we wanted to produce citizens that are competent, creative, and productive, and confident. This is something that is very important. Some people would say some people are born naturally confident, but what if you are not born naturally confident? What happens to you? You will be worried for the rest of your life and you will have more problems than others. So we wanted the curriculum to produce or develop creative and productive individuals who are enterprising, who are creative problem solvers, who are willing to exert the effort that is necessary to succeed in life and at work, who relate to others at home and worldwide, who understand others' concerns and needs, who are diligent, resilient, and persistent in their attitude to work. And finally, we wanted the curriculum to produce environmentally responsible children or young adults who are members of our society and who are appreciative of the need to sustain the environment, the need to achieve the sustainable development goals, etc. So these are the 4 aims of the national curriculum of South Sudan, and we are very optimistic that we will achieve them.
Wow, congratulations. That sounds very, very exciting. I have to ask this because I'm TMI. What is your strategy for the qualifications of ongoing professional development for the South Sudanese teachers?
We implemented a project called South Sudan Teachers Education Program, STEP, S-T-E-P. This program was funded by USAID. They paid $30 million US dollars, and it was delivered by the ministry among, with other partners, including Education Development Center, also Windrock International, and other organizations. The objectives of the program were mainly 3. One, we wanted to improve the policy framework for training and management of teachers. We wanted to improve access to and quality of teacher training programs. And third, we wanted to increase access to and quality of teaching and learning materials. We managed to achieve the 3 objectives. Now we have the national professional standards for teachers in South Sudan, which are the basis for all teacher training programs. All the teacher training programs are based on one national teacher training curriculum, which is taught across the country. We managed to provide training for teachers in primary, as well as in early childhood development in the 10 states of South Sudan before South Sudan restructured the administrative structure of the country to 28 states. So it was a good project. It did not do it all. We still have a long way to go. We have a significant number of teachers that are still untrained, and we need to train them. So we are still going to implement a new project called Impact. This is going to be to be funded by 5 countries, and we hope to implement it as from February 2017.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. That was very interesting, very pragmatic approach. Now to Dr. Jwan. Dr. Jwan and TMI work together, and usually I'm in the hot seat, so I'm a bit excited about this. Now, historically, and I used to be a teacher, we have sometimes made this mistake of teaching to the test. We've all done it at weak times, but now with the new curriculum, it's all about critical thinking and competencies. What strategy are you giving your teachers to change this mindset?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to talk about curriculum reform in Kenya, specifically to change the mindset of teachers. In collaboration with the Teacher Service Commission, we have 3 strategies of dealing with teachers. We have the continuous professional development of teachers. That will be handled by TSC in collaboration with KICD, and we'll be doing this by looking at the modules that have been developed by Teacher Service Commission, because the continuous professional development of teachers has been there before. Now we'll be looking at the modules to align them to competence-based curriculum that we are going into. Now, at a lower stage, we have what we call the immediate retooling of teachers.
Okay.
Now, this is, you would call it like a rapid response program
Yep.
that we are going to develop as KICD that will be used to retool the teachers in the, to undertake the immediate implementation of the new curriculum. The retooling will be focusing on the change of pedagogy
Yeah.
to respond to the needs of competence-based curriculum. Now, after the retooling is done, then now we hand it over to the continuous teacher, professional development of teachers. But most critically is the pre-service training, which fortunately, for all levels except the university, is also, their curriculum is also prepared by KICD. So this is one thing that we are developing, so that we are going to change the curriculum for teacher training in the country. We'll start by developing teacher training framework. And after we develop this framework, then we'll go into developing the designs and the learning areas alongside pedagogy and the curriculum support materials. Now, once this is done, then it means that all the teachers that will be graduating from our colleges will be trained in the context of the new curriculum. Now, for the retooling of teachers, this will start as soon as this December,
Yeah.
in preparation for the pilot of the new curriculum that we'll be doing next year. But we'll be doing this in phases. For example, we've divided our curriculum into tiers in terms of organization of learning. And since we are planning to roll out the new curriculum with early years, which will include the 2 years for preschool and the 3 years of lower primary, the initial training will focus on that category of teachers. Then we'll do the pilot next year and we move to the other programs.
It's very exciting. Fantastic. Can you give us an explanation of the KICD managed cloud platform system and how partners can participate?
Oh, thank you. This is something that, first of all, I should say we are very proud about, because for us it's a groundbreaking opportunity to give curriculum support materials developers an opportunity to submit their materials, because as KICD, again, we are charged with the responsibility of looking at all materials that are being taken to schools in Kenya, all curriculum support materials. I don't want to use the word vetting, but we quality assure them.
Yeah.
So before we approve them, they can't go into the school. So what we are trying to do is to create a cloud where anybody who develops digital content, because we have a lot of expansion of development of digital content, then they can submit this online, or submit it to the cloud. Then our people who are trained, teachers who are trained, people from the universities, because we have a large collection of people who go through our, who deal with our vetting process, what we call the curation. Then they will look at the process, curate the materials. They will make suggestions if there are areas that need to be improved. And basically, as we do this, we look at the level of the material, the intended users in terms of class, the language, the illustrations that are given, and also make sure that it's aligned to the thinking that is embedded within the curriculum. Now, once this is done, then we can communicate with the various publishers online until this is approved and then posted onto the cloud. Now, at the initial stages, of course, people will be filling what we call the meta form, where you indicate the kind of materials that you have, how you want to submit it, if you want to charge it or you want to give it for free, so that by the end of the curation process, then we'll be indicating whoever wants to access it can pay this much, and out of that payment, what goes to the publisher and what goes to the other participants. So it will be an open cloud, and it's something that we look really forward to open up the digital literacy program in Kenya.
Very exciting. Thank you very much, Dr. Jwan. Now heading down to Zimbabwe with Professor Mavima.
Yes.
All right, so first I have to say that Professor has a great new twist on the word STEM. He calls it STEAM, which he can go into that. I love this one. So you've done a lot of work with STEM courses. I think you've incentivized maybe 5,000 students already. What is the next stage and targets for these A-level students?
You realize that we have two ministries
Yes.
in Zimbabwe. We have a ministry that deals with basic education, which is my ministry.
Yeah,
We call it the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education.
yeah,
And then we have a Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, which also does science and technology development.
right.
And this is the ministry that takes over from where we live. And what they are doing with the STEM program is, in actual fact, they are financing our students when they reach A-level.
Yeah,
They are financing the tuition.
Wow.
They are also doing other incentives, including trips
yeah,
to Silicon Valley. They provide devices, iPads, computers
yeah,
to the students who are doing STEM subjects.
right.
But they are also encouraging the universities to resource generate in order to strengthen the bursaries and scholarships for engineering, for science, for technology. They are also working with our polytechnics to ensure that they modernize the equipment that is available in the polytechnics.
Yeah,
So the support for the continued support for the students as they enter tertiary education, and also support for the institutions themselves so that they are appropriately tooled to offer meaningful skills-based education
right.
in the area of STEM.
Fantastic.
But let me also indicate that in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, we have undergone a curriculum review process where we have reoriented. In fact, this is the framework that we have produced.
That was my next question. Where are you with your new curriculum?
Yes. We have reoriented the whole curriculum
Yeah,
to what we are calling STEAM.
yes.
It's,
You have to explain this. This
it's-
is very
it's-
clever.
it's-
Everyone's going to steal it from you.
it's the STEM, it's the STEM subjects,
Yeah,
but we're also emphasizing the creative arts
yeah,
because they are an integral part of the innovations that should take place.
Like design and technology, et cetera.
It's design.
yeah,
So we want to make sure that we have a holistic, innovation-oriented curriculum.
yeah,
Our idea basically is to say, if we want to achieve national aspirations, which boil down to getting Zimbabwe to middle income or high income status as a country
Yeah.
within a generation or so, we really have to emphasize these STEAM subjects.
absolutely.
Develop the human capital
Yeah.
that will propel us to where we want to go as a nation.
Absolutely. No, it's fantastic. I love that. And now, can you just give us a brief explanation about the ZIM asset initiative and how education has a part in there?
ZIM asset is a medium-term policy. It's a 5-year program. It's a policy framework that we are following
Yeah.
as government.
Mm-hmm.
It has a number of clusters, infrastructure, food security,
Yeah.
beneficiation, for example. It also looks at issues of governance and making sure that the administrative processes within the country are developed to a point where they can deliver
Yeah.
on the services and make sure that there is implementation
Yeah.
of the various programs. Education has always been a very important priority for the government of Zimbabwe since 1980.
Yeah.
We started off with equalization of education, making sure that there is access in all parts of the country.
Yeah.
There was tremendous expansion of education in 1980, mainly built with grants from government, but a lot of community participation.
Right.
Under ZIMASET, part of what we have done with the curriculum review
Yeah.
is what the ZIMASET
Right.
document and policy framework is saying.
Yeah.
Let's scale up our education system
Yeah.
to where it becomes one of the most important factors in the transformation of the country.
Yeah.
There are elements of STEAM, like I told you, but there are also elements of national identity.
Yeah.
There are elements that speak to the fact that we are basically an agricultural
Right.
economy.
Yeah.
And beneficiation also talks to the need to make sure that we produce end products rather than continue to export our minerals in their raw form.
Yeah.
So what we have done in education is basically to prepare the country to achieve some of the objectives that are contained within the ZIMASET
Very good.
policy framework.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, I think we'll head down to the country of Ghana. We'll talk to the Director General there. So your national education strategy is proving very successful. I think we all read about it. Now, of course, there's some challenges. Are there any challenges, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And before I respond, I want to extend on behalf of the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the Minister of Education, our fraternal appreciation to the people of Kenya and the President of Kenya. Our fraternal relationship started since independence, and he happened to have joined us in celebrating our 59th anniversary, and we very much appreciate Kenyans and the President of Kenya. Now, the strategic plan, I would like to highlight what is our vision that we want to achieve in terms of the sustainable development goals. We want to have an inclusive, equitable, high-quality education, lifelong learning opportunities, and increased number of effective and engaging inspirational teachers who will help to transform the challenges that we are facing in the country.
Right.
Hitherto, our education was more geared towards literacy and numeracy.
Right.
Now we want to reorient our teachers so that they also reorient the mentality of our students, get towards people who will come out from the educational system to be job creators but not job seekers. And that is why we are emphasizing more on technology, so that from that basis, people become creative and more innovative.
Right.
That is why the curriculum now is also being reviewed in line with the objectives that we have set, so that every individual teacher will be a 21st century pedagogy oriented teacher, instead of relying on only the teacher-centered method. Now we want to use the student-centered approach, which is activity and at the same time towards practicum. To become very practical in our activities, we are also liaising with our district education offices, regional offices, so that they will provide mentorship and teachers will be able to become facilitators and coaches when they come out from the system, so that we change the challenges that we are facing from the mentally just trying to produce people who are only interested in reproducing what they have learned,
Yeah.
but rather instead of using their hands. That is where we are more interested that teachers become more of practical oriented and help the students themselves to drift from the mental into the hand, where we think it will create jobs for many people.
Fantastic. I understand, actually, that you have done a great project training 1,000 principals, actually with one of the partners here, SADSL. They're here as well, and they were a big part of this project with you with the Farki Foundation. How is the government following up from these training of 1,000 principals? What are the next steps?
Yeah, our next step is to ensure that all our schools have, in the same line with the training that we are giving to the principals and the teachers. Now, we know that management is a very important key for the success of quality education.
Yeah.
So we have to, first of all, train the principals, who will in turn use their managerial skills to train the teachers. And from there, the teachers too will also go back into the district level or the regional levels, where we have well-equipped managers. And those managers will help the teachers themselves to also focus on the goals of the education that we have set.
Right.
And we said we are more interested in practicum instead of theory.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now to the TSC, another very important part of the transformation education in Kenya. Obviously, with all the teacher training and the digital literacy program, there's a lot of new teachers need to be hired. What are the plans over the next 18 months to hire more teachers in primary and secondary?
Thank you. TSC, you are aware, is the only employer of teachers in Kenya. It is also a regulator of the teaching force. And according to the government medium-term 2 plan, we are supposed to hire 5,000 teachers annually, and this has been happening. So in the next 18 months,
Yeah.
we'll have another 5,000 teachers being hired.
Wow.
These are teachers for both primary and post-primary institutions.
Wow, my goodness, that's a lot. So how does, everybody's probably wondering this, how does the TSC coordinate with other bodies like the KICD to ensure this high standard delivery, especially given the new curriculum? How do you work together?
TSC is a very important partner, particularly with KICD and the other bodies that deal with within the teaching service, because when it comes to preparing the new curriculum, it is actually the teachers who are identified by the commission who work with KICD to come up with a new curriculum. The same teachers will now go and pilot the new curriculum, and in the end, when it is rolled out, it is the same teachers, or rather the overall teachers of the country, that will implement the curriculum. And then we have the Kenya National Examinations Council testing the same curriculum, and it is worth noting that the same teachers are actually the ones who set the exams. They supervise the examination of these exams, and even mark the very, very exams. So they are quite involved right from the beginning up to the end.
Very good. Yeah, it's a very close relationship. It's good. Now, of course, we always talk about quality of teachers and teacher training, but how is the implementation of the performance contracts going in the TSC?
Thank you. This country started on this performance contracting several years back. I think it dates back way back to 1993. But for our teachers, we only began this year, January 2016. And the approach was we have the head teachers and the principals of our institutions signing the performance contract. And then we now have the teachers signing the performance appraisal system. So these will help the commission now monitor the performance of our teachers. And I think this is something the commission is very, very happy with, because now we say what is measured gets done. We have heard of teacher absenteeism, but with the new tool, a teacher is expected to be in class to deliver on what they have committed themselves to achieve within the week, within the month, within the term, and then the commission is able to monitor their performance all through.
Fantastic. Now, if you can believe it or not, we are actually a little bit early. So if anybody has a burning message that didn't get across, you are welcome to use a couple minutes to speak about anything. Or are you just hungry? No. Yeah, you'd like to say? Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity again. Ghana, because we want to address our challenges, we have embarked on a 4-year program called TTEL.
Okay, yeah.
It is Teacher Education, Transforming Teacher Education and Learning.
Okay.
And what is the purpose of this program? It is geared towards addressing 7 parameters that we think will help us also address the challenges. 1, how do we review our curriculum? What type and quality of teacher do we want to produce? What type of student are we also trying to produce so that he becomes independent and an individual person who will create jobs, not rather seek jobs?
Yeah.
And what are the roles of stakeholders? All these are being embodied in the review of the curriculum.
Right.
And as such, all stakeholders are brought on board, including the teacher universities, because at the end of every year, we produce as many as 16,000 teachers, both for primary and secondary education.
Right.
And all of them need that mental orientation to prepare them for actual practice in the field.
Yeah.
In that line, we also liaise with the National Teaching Council to come out with standards that are being set. And our curriculum will have what we call milestones,
Right.
standards, and methods that we want the teachers to apply in
Yeah.
order to achieve these goals.
Yeah.
Now, when a teacher is employed next year, for example, we are going to start what we call teacher licensing and registration.
Yeah.
When we have registered you, we will license you based on the appraisal that we have taken you through a year and seeing whether you deserve to be licensed for 5 years.
Yeah.
After 5 years, we will give you another target and set appraisal forms to see whether you have achieved them before we renew your license again. Now, it is not going to be just vacancies are available. You will have to go and seek for the vacancy and show that you are committed.
Yeah.
And by being committed, then you have to help us achieve our goals. That is why the TTEL is being implemented now in order to help us overcome the challenges that we are facing in the country. Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you, thank you. And one more, South Sudan, Minister, did you want to have
Yes,
one last word?
I wanted to stress the importance of curricular reforms,
Yeah.
especially in Africa. Africa is predicted to be the country that will produce millions and millions of young people in the next 10 to 20 years. So it is vitally important that what is taught to these young people is relevant and is meeting the needs and aspirations of the African nations. In addition, the curricula alone are not sufficient. The teachers are the people who deliver the curricula in schools and translate them into meaningful lessons. So it is vitally important that we continue to train teachers and improve their professionalism so that they continue to facilitate learning for millions of children. Finally, the issue of funding is critical. You cannot do all these reforms to improve the quality of education for all without funding.
Yeah.
And therefore, the role of the donors is vital, but also the need of each country to increase its budget is equally important. Thank you.
Thank you, that's great. Well, before we all get to have some lunch, I just thought I'd give you a little video. At Teachers Media International, we focus on sustainable and scalable solutions for teachers and for parents. And we're always looking for star schools that have really shown great achievement. And with the help of KICD, we found a fabulous school here in Kenya, in Nairobi City. 8 years ago, the head teacher, when she arrived there, it was considered a low standard school. And now it's actually a very high achieving school. It's called St. Michael's Primary. You saw them here dancing and singing this morning and yesterday as well. and we'll give you a short video of just the great things that are going on in this school.
Today we are going to learn about numbers. We need the mathematics at home, we need the mathematics in school, we need the mathematics everywhere. They like learning, they make my day.
This is where you're building your foundation. You work smart, you work hard, and be committed.
We would like to bring up a holistic child who is physically, socially, morally, and spiritually upright. Children who are focused and self-driven.
Thank you.